guys, it's Cheyenne from Soft Crochet Time. So today we're going to be going over how to crochet your own buttons. This is going to solve the problem of never being able to find a button that matches your project, which I know personally is a terrible feeling. So this does make relatively large buttons, which is good to me because I always hate having to go to the craft store and you get a pack of like 2 or 3 buttons that are this size for like $3. That's not really cost efficient in my book. So in this way, you'll have good sized buttons that are pretty sturdy and they will match anything you're making because you're making out of your own yarn. The only thing that you're going to need to make this is yarn, your hook, some scissors, and a yarn needle. So there's no rings in this, there's no nothing like that. So as long as you have a little bit of yarn, you'll have a button. So before we get started, I just want to remind you guys to please subscribe to the channel if you are learning how to crochet and you want to watch future videos. I do upload every Sunday morning, Eastern Standard Time. So with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our slip knot, insert our hook. I am using a worsted weight yarn with a 4.5mm hook. It doesn't exactly matter which size hook you use. If you want a button this size, you do want to use what I am. As long as your hook is compatible with the size yarn you're using, you'll be all set. So we're going to go ahead and start by chaining 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first chain. Alright, so we're going to insert our hook into the center of that little circle we made with the chain. Sometimes it can be a little hard to see, but once you get it, you'll get it. And then we're going to do a single crochet. In case you didn't see that, we're going to insert our hook, pull back a loop, yarn over, and pull through. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull through. So we're going to do it until we have 8 of these stitches. So I have 3 right now, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. At this point, you can give your yarn tail a little bit of a pull just to close that up. I have been doing my single crochets over the tail to help make sure that it's held in place and I don't really have to worry about sewing in at the end. So now that we're back at the beginning, you're going to go ahead and you're going to slip stitch into that first chain, chain 1, and turn. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets into this stitch. So 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 into the stitch following that. And you're just going to continue that around with 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets and then 1 single crochet until you meet up at the end. The best way to make sure you did it right is when you get to the last stitch. If you started with 2 single crochets, you should be ending with 1 single crochet. So then you're going to go ahead and slip stitch into that first stitch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work 1 turning chain, turn our work, and then we are going to insert our hook in through the center of the circle, pull back a loop. Make sure you don't pull too tightly, that way the yarn gets all the way up here because we're trying to cover up these stitches in the middle to kind of make this design right here. So then you're going to pull it up to the top and you're going to close it off just like a single crochet. So we're going to do that 15 times. So now we're going to give our button its more rounded appearance, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to chain 1 and then we're going to single crochet into the first stitch. And then we're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet, skip the next stitch, single crochet. You can kind of see how we're going. So we're just going to skip a stitch, and then single crochet into the next, and it'll slowly start pulling itself towards the middle. Alright, so I've gotten to where the last stitch is. We're going to skip it, and then I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch that we have made in this round. So now we have this kind of starting to close hole. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to snip the yarn about 18 inches back. Alright, and then we're going to take our yarn needle, and then we're going to be going back and forth in and out of the stitches. So the first stitch we can go in or out, and then the opposite on the next stitch. And then we're just going to keep doing that around. And then just continue on until you reach back at the first stitch. And then I like to go ahead and tuck this little yarn tail in right now. That way we don't have to worry about it after. And then tighten it off. And then the way that it leaves us with a few of these little bumps. You can either keep the bumps, or if you don't like them, we're going to put our yarn needle in the stitch. Then we can go to the next stitch. And the next. Well, they're not really stitches, they're just little bumps that the stitches make. And then we're going to go ahead, just keep doing that around. We're on the last bump. We're just going to go back in that first little bump. So as you can see, there's our little button. So to finish it off, we kind of just fasten it off like we would any other crocheting project. The only difference is that you want to keep this string, that way you can, you know, attach the button to things. So make sure when you're done weaving in your ends, you come back out the middle and the back. It doesn't matter to weave in your ends too much on this specific project because you're going to be using the same string to attach it to your piece. If for some reason you're not using the same string to attach it to your piece, or you have a different idea for these, you are going to want to tie it off better than I just did. But as I'm going to be sewing this onto something, I'm really not that worried about it coming undone. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching today, you guys. And if you have any questions, comments, make sure you comment that down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right below. And if you watch to the end of this video, it's going to show you a video that's recommended for you, a couple of my playlists, so make sure you check those out. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you keep on stitching. Bye-bye.